Hi, we are some members of the Clark Middle School Informers. We travel throughout our community to inform others about important people, topics, holidays, and observances. Our purpose is not to perform, but to inform our listeners by enlightening, enriching, empowering, and educating them. On behalf of our principal, Mrs. Williams, and our sponsor, Mrs. Pickney, we would like to thank you for extending an invitation to us to present at your secondary leadership meeting to provide an overview of MTSS. We hope the Clark Informers will give new insights or remind you of what you already know about this framework. MTSS stands for Multi-Tier System of Supports. This system helps educators provide academic and behavioral strategies for students with various needs. MTSS grew out of the integration of two other intervention-based frameworks, Response to Intervention, RTI, and Positive Behavioral Intervention Supports, PBIS. The integrated instruction model of MTSS uses collected data to assess student needs and provides them with interventions using a tier level of supports.
On a daily basis, ASD staff work together to support every student academically, behaviorally, and socially based on their ongoing needs. Some students struggle with academics, others struggle with behavioral challenges, still, others struggle with both. So how should schools respond to students with challenges or struggles that interfere with their ability to learn? Many districts have adopted to the MTSS framework of interventions and supports designed to address behavioral and academic challenges. MTSS helps schools identify students early so they may receive assistance quickly. Instead of the waiting for failure assessment model, MTSS takes a proactive approach to identifying struggling students. Early assessment and intervention for struggling students can help them catch up with their peers sooner.
The essential components of MTSS are the three tiers of intervention. MTSS uses these tiers of support to assist all students at various levels. The tiers consist of universal, secondary, and tertiary levels. MTSS tiers help schools to organize levels of support based on intensity so that students receive the necessary instruction, support, and intervention. As such, student identities are not based on tier levels. Instead, individuals are identified as students in need of support and intervention. This helps educators respond appropriately and provide students with the assistance to prosper in the classroom.
As the largest tier and the foundation for the entire framework, Tier 1, the universal level, encompasses the majority of the school student body with core instruction and basic interventions. This structure helps build positive relationships between staff and students. It also includes proactive classroom management strategies aimed at creating a supportive atmosphere. Tier 2, the secondary level, involves a smaller amount of students in a school. At this level, students need and receive extra assistance in meeting behavioral and academic goals which allow them to work toward catching up with their peers. Often these interventions and supports are delivered in small group settings, such as reading groups. Tier 3, the tertiary level, works with individual students. This population represents less than 10% of the student body. These students have significant challenges that do not allow them to respond appropriately to the supports and interventions provided for them in Tier 1 or Tier 2. Tier 3 gives individualized support and can include outside agencies such as behavioral counselors or family therapists. Thank you.
Schools that use MTSS seek successful educational and behavior outcomes for all their students, regardless of challenges. This may involve significant intervention for a segment of the student population, with the goal of moving these individuals into reduced intervention as they progress. The flexibility of this framework will allow students to move to tier to tier as needed without following prescribed timelines.
MTSS creates a positive environment for all students, which in turn impacts school climate. Positive school climate is the leading indicator for such outcomes as increased academic achievement, increased teacher retention, and reduced discipline referrals. The interventions and supports found in MTSS help in relationship building, which is a key factor of student success. Additionally, a supportive school environment allows each student to work through their challenges and to catch up with their peers.
It is important to understand that MTSS tiers may look quite different from school to school. MTSS focuses on the overall needs of individual students and what may be a Tier 2 intervention in one school can be a Tier 1 in another. It is up to each school community to develop an MTSS framework that addresses challenges specific to that school community. If leadership wants to change and improve the overall climates and outcomes of schooling for both teachers and students, there are features of the school culture that have to be adjusted. And if they are not revised, any well-intentioned efforts will be defeated.
Additional components of MTSS includes early warning or identification. The earlier identification occurs, the more time will be possible to work on improvements. Therefore, schools should conduct universal screenings of all students early in the school year to determine which students need interventions. They must act quickly and aggressively to begin problem-solving procedures. Progress monitoring is also very important in using this framework. Schools need to know what is and is not working. Time is of the essence. Ongoing data collection and continual assessments are crucial. This is when interpretation of data is used to determine student progress and what action steps need to be taken. Always modify interventions and supports as necessary. Again, districts cannot wait to effect change. They must act quickly and let the data guide their practices.
Communication and collaboration is a must. Teamwork must be focused on building relationships and using data to improve those relationships. Professional development and coaching is needed along the guidelines for a school-wide approach of expectation and support. Transparency and honesty must be present. This framework is not about assigning fault to anyone. This is about being honest about students' response towards instructions and intervention. It is okay to speak openly about problem-solving procedures. It is okay for leadership teams to have them refer to group norms of action focused on instructions and intervention.
Too much time has been spent admiring the problems. The best place to address diverse learning needs is in the instructional process. Even the worst student is a good example of what's not working. A shift in mindsets need to occur. The question is not, what about the student is causing the performance discrepancy, but rather, what interaction of the curriculum, instruction, learners, and learning environment should be altered so that the student may learn? Again, MTSS is defined as an evidence-based model of schooling that uses data-based problem-solving to integrate academic and behavioral instruction and intervention to students in varying intensities based on student needs. Need-driven decision-making seeks to ensure that district resources reach the appropriate students and schools at applicable levels to accelerate the performance of all students to achieve and/or exceed proficiency. In closing, we hope you were empowered, enriched, enlightened, and educated on our presentation on MTSS, a multi-tiered system of supports. Thank you.